PSY1011, Abby here. Did you know that kids these days are doing more and more in their day? They're doing rugby, piano, violin, theatre, or maybe they're on the school cricket team. How can we fit all these things into our day? A recent study also showed that 70 minutes of homework is too much for adolescents. How can we make our days more effective? How can we fit more in? Well, maybe we should start at school. As a teacher, you've probably thought about the best way to discipline your classroom, or as a parent, the best way to discipline your children. In 2004, a study by Redmond, Murphy and Hupp looked at this idea of discipline within the classroom. They looked at the idea of something called token economy, which was first thought up by B.F. Skinner. Now, Skinner was the pioneer of operant conditioning, a learning system which is based on reward and punishment. For example, if Johnny helps his parents weed the garden, Johnny gets extra playtime. Token economy kind of works in a similar way. Instead, this time when Johnny weeds the garden, he gets a token. Once he has 5 tokens, then he gets to play. Token economies are often used in school classrooms, but however, the question still stands: is it better to use individualized or group token economies? Redmond, Murphy and Hupp explored this idea of group and individualized programs, and it helps us answer the question: is it effective to use token economies to modify classroom behaviour? And here's why. There's been little research done into this idea before by other scientists, as previous research has mainly looked at either individual or either class token economies. By Redmond, Murphy and Hupp simultaneously comparing the two, they will be able to more effectively see which one's better for modifying classroom behaviour. The initial thoughts of Redmond, Murphy and Hupp were that the class programs would be better from the perspective of the teacher. This is because previous research showed that the individualised programs, whilst very good at modifying behaviour, were often too difficult and tedious for teachers to carry out. The experiment in this study was pretty complicated, and before testing could take place, there was a lot of trials and settings which had to be made. Firstly, participants were chosen based on whether they were a problem child or not a problem child, and this was assessed against a range of criteria. A class was found that contained 3 problem children, all who were which of males. However, the class was actually evenly split in males and females. This was the only class used in this study. The baseline condition. In this part, graduate students simply observed the class's behaviour where no intervention or discipline was attempted by the teacher. This acted as a reference situation to see whether behaviour improved. The pre-intervention training. Teachers were then trained to implement the token program. This included role play and a quiz in which the teacher scored 100%. Kids were then taught the right and wrong behaviours of a classroom. Star intervention. This stage was a mix between group and individual. Each classroom, 3 students were chosen at random to act as stars. The behaviour of the stars then determined the outcome for the class. If one star broke a rule, the whole class lost playtime. The final stage was group intervention stage. This stage involved a whole class board where if one person broke a rule, the whole class would lose a token. However, if one student did something good, the whole class would gain a reward. Redmond, Murphy and Hupp found that whilst the group intervention program worked better for rule violations or decreasing bad behaviour, the teachers found that the problem children often weren't consistent with the way that they reacted to this program. They also found that the individualised programs were too much work for the teachers and that they would never effectively work in a common everyday classroom. These results suggest that while the group token economy worked most effectively for class behaviour, other measures would need to be taken into account to help those students that were categorised as problem students. So this study also has many limitations, and the majoring limitation of this study is that there was no record of teacher behaviour changing over time. This could drastically change the results, as when teachers behave differently, so does the class. Redmond, Murphy and Hupp also suggested that for future studies there should be more rigorous measurements for pre- and post-intervention behaviour within the students and the teachers.